All right. Today I want to talk about something that I think a lot more people should talk about, and something that I've talked about on stream a couple times as well. Um, and that's being an addict. You know, as many of you may probably know, some of you won't. I've been addicted to cocaine, methamphetamines, and a whole bunch of other stuff for a couple of years. And I thought I should make a video about it, just like talking about what is addiction for me, like what did it do for me, what is it still doing, how did it affect my life, how did it affect the people around me, and just like go completely without the script and start, just talk a bit. So I've been sober for 596 days now. Just, I'm quite happy about that. I do drink alcohol again. It's like a little bit of a slippery slope with alcohol. I try to contain myself and I just try to be conscious about how much I drink and when I drink, which is, I think, something that you should do if you've ever faced addiction. But yeah, I think I'll just like kind of start how it all started for me and talk about the history here. So when I was a kid, I was like the troubled child, didn't do good in school. I was always, dreaming. Couldn't focus on my homework. Always postponing, forgetting stuff. Also with my brothers, I was constantly fighting. I was like, even as a child, I think I was pretty depressed. Um, I was always very anxious, although at the time I didn't know it was anxiety. I always described it as this stressful feeling in my stomach, but I didn't know at the time what it was. There was also a couple of, when I was 10 years old, I smoked my first cigarette. I was always trying to be a part of something or belong somewhere. There were also a lot of other incidents at home that weren't good. But basically, my parents took me to like a child psychologist. And after like 10-ish sessions there, which I didn't enjoy at all, the woman basically told my parents, like, yeah, he's just, he's a bit of a troubled child and it will hopefully grow out of him. So the blame was put on me again. So I always thought my entire life that I was the problem, like there's something, I felt that there was something wrong with me, but doctors say there's nothing wrong. So I must be the problem here, that's how I thought most of my life. And then the first 2 or 3 years of my high school, I got severely bullied, which completely destroyed my self-confidence if I already had any, causing me to, do stuff that, I just did to belong somewhere. I did to cope. When I was 15 or even 14, I started drinking a lot, like in school. Yeah, just always living on the edge. I was already smoking all the time, drinking. Um, yeah, that was basically high school. And my first year in college, I started partying more in the big city. And I remember there was one evening where at this point, I was only drinking. Let's just clarify, I was only drinking. I didn't use any drugs yet. I did dabble a bit in weed, but I didn't like it. Um, but when I was in my first year in college, I think like a couple of weeks into the semester, the first semester, I was at a party, at like a techno party. I was really big into like tech house, techno, all that shit. And I was like a friend who had ecstasy with him. I was drunk, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll try this and see what it is, see what it feels like. And the moment I took it, it was just like pop, and I could feel myself like I finally felt good for the first time in my life, right? Like I felt really good. And at that point, like I kept doing ecstasy at parties until the first time I got into contact with snorting a drug, which was methadone at the time. Um, Methadone instantly took over my life. Um, for those of you who don't know, methadone is a designer drug. It's also called MCAT or MMMC, I believe, if I remember correctly. I don't necessarily know. MMC5, I think. And there was like another compound before that that's called MMC4. Basically, the effects are, um, you know, I don't like describing it in drug terms because a lot of you don't know, but it's basically like you're very euphoric, like you are on ecstasy or MDMA, like you have this loving feeling, but you also have like the very awake or woke feeling and like the sharpness that you have on cocaine. It was like a very big hit for me. I instantly got hooked. One of my best friends sold it, so every weekend I was just using. Um, it started from Friday to Sunday. Sometimes, then I didn't go to school, and it kept going on a couple more days. Basically, from there on, that's when it really started with the methadone. I was just boom, gone, just instantly using every weekend. Started using during the week. Then the next drug I got hooked onto was speed. That was also a very fucking vile drug. Very cheap. Just kept you awake. I loved it as well. Until I got hooked on coke, which was that was my love. Like of all the other drugs that I tried were really good, but coke was like the it was the top for me. It's talking about it right now still makes me feel in love, right? But I don't want to focus too much about the use and what I use. I just wanted to paint a picture so people would know. I also dabbled in some other things, but I don't think they're worth mentioning. But basically, it was always fun for me. It was always fun using. It was with friends until it wasn't. That's what every addict says, and I can only I can only speak about the same thing that others do. Um, it's always fun, 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 and then that one moment that you realize, like, I think I have an issue. There might be a problem here. I keep losing my job. I lose relationships. I'm losing friends that I had for years, and you don't realize this while it's happening. People around you they give you signals, but you don't see it, and you don't want to see it. You're having a good time. You're like, just friends come, friends go. The jobs, it was always someone else's fault. All of my problems were always someone else's fault. I lost so many jobs. Yeah, it was really terrible. I also got into a lot of problems, physically and stuff. But basically, it was always a very fun experience for me. I was also gambling at the time. Was very bad. But I think it was until. So it was always fun. I did struggle, but the negatives weren't outweighing the positives yet. So for every negative thing that happened, I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm having a good time. I'll just take it and I'll accept it. But there was like, I clearly remember the point where I fucked over a really good friend of mine who was also into drugs. Hang on, let me quickly grab a drink here. So I was basically fucked over a really good friend of mine. And that was at that point that I realized, like, I'm lying all the time. Like, I was constantly lying to everyone. I never told the truth to a single person in my life. Like, ever since I was a child, I was always lying. Even without being an addict, I was always lying. Always, about every single thing. So as an addict, I wasn't different. I did it to my parents, to my friends. No one knew who the real me was. I was always lying, trying to keep up a persona. And trying to live by the persona that I was creating. Yeah, I fucked over this friend, and at that point I realized, like, what the fuck are you doing, man? You're ruining your, like, I really felt like I was ruining my life. But of course I kept going. Was very, very depressed, like extremely depressed. I'm actually gonna be very graphic about this and just say it like it was. I would be at the bar, drinking, doing coke, and I would sit there gambling on my phone, playing slots. Everyone around me having a good time. I was playing slots. That was how addicted I was. And I would go on to like a website like Chatterbait, for example, while I was still at the bar, and I would look for some girls, and I would, it's very embarrassing to talk about, but I think I should talk about it. I would just come home, gamble, jerk off, do drugs all night, just alone in my dark room, just doing all of that. Very, very sad, very embarrassing as well. But I think, if we talk about the reality of addiction, that is what the reality of addiction was for me. Um, but yeah, at that point, I was becoming very, very depressed, suicidal. Um, then I lost one of my best friends in a car accident. He was still awake for like 3 days driving his car. It was on Mother's Day. He was delivering flowers to his mom, was awake for 3 days, came from a girl, and he crashed his car into a tree and just, bam, dead, gone, just like that. That caused a very big shock in our friend group, but it didn't stop us from using and driving. It just didn't. If anything, we were like, at that time that it happened, we were like, yeah, we're not doing it. 2 days later, we were already drinking and driving and doing drugs again. But even such a such a heavy, dark moment didn't change me. It wasn't enough. It didn't have. It had such an impact, but it wasn't enough. So I kept doing what I was doing, ruining more stuff in my life, getting just hitting rock bottom basically. In May 2020, I had my first suicide attempt. I was using with a girl. I was using with a girl at her place. I had to work. Instead of going to work when I left her place, I went to some friends. Used the entire day. Used the night after that. And then because I was, you get paranoid if you're using for that long, and especially if you're doing shit that you shouldn't be doing, like not going to work, lying to your parents about it. So I didn't, the best thing that I could find was to take some Xanax. I was sitting in my car. I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to go home. I was still awake. I had some alcohol left. I had a couple of sleeping pills like Xanax. And I just took the entire box. I basically took the entire box, drank the bottle, and I passed out. A couple hours later, I remember waking up, and I definitely took enough to kill me, but my body, while I was passed out, it puked. So I puked all of the pills out before they could digest, because I could see them laying in my car, which is absolutely disgusting as well, by the way. But yeah, so I survived that. I don't know why or how. It was just like I remember waking up and feeling so shit that I couldn't even kill myself even if I wanted to, which is a very weird thing to say now, but it was how I felt. I felt even worse because I failed at something that should be so easy. Yeah, I just went home again. Kept using for like 2 more months at that point. Until the last day, and I remember this last day very vividly. I was in my car. No, in my car. So basically, I came home. I played in the 32v32 Battlefield 4 tournament when I came home from work on Saturday. And on Sunday, I didn't drink on Saturday. Then on Sunday, I was like, I'm gonna go take my bike out for a ride to go have a couple of beers, and then drive back home, have a barbecue with my parents. Of course, me being me, I took my bike out, I drive to the bar. I start having a beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, 4, 5, up until quite a bit of beers. At that point, I was like tipsy. Because remember, I could drink, right? Like now I drink 2 beers and I'm done. Back then I could literally drink like 50, 60 beers in a night. Like I'm not even exaggerating. Like I would have to pee all the time. Sometimes I even puked because my stomach was so full. But I could just keep drinking. It didn't bother me. So I was tipsy at that point. Where an older man starts, buying me fucking whiskey colas. So I was getting hammered at that point. I started calling friends to get my fix of coke. I canceled a barbecue with my parents. My dad was pissed, super pissed, because I canceled another thing. They were so desperate. Basically, I end up getting my friend to drive me to some shady ass motherfucker to buy some cocaine. We started using it. I went home by 8 in the evening with my bike. I still had a lot of coke left. I say hello to my parents, blah blah blah. I'm feeling fine. I go upstairs and I do my regular thing of jerking off, gambling. I gambled for like the entire night that night. I was so desperate for money as well. I remember just doing coke. But then I was so fucking got far gone that I forgot that I had to go to work the next day. So what did I do? um, I took my car, so I wake up. I wake up. I get out of bed. I get my take a shower, say hello to my mom. She obviously saw that something was wrong, right? Like I was drunk as fuck. I was still high on coke. I go into my car and I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to work like this. So I go to for some reason, I start driving towards the forest. In the middle of the forest, I park myself. I had like 2 bottles of gin with me, and like another gram of coke. So I just start getting hammered, right? I just like start chugging. I call my boss that I'm not going into work. I start chugging this gin, like just pure gin, just chugging it. I take the coke, I snort it all. I finished 1 bottle of gin by that time. And that was the moment that I was like crying, and I just realized like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna try to end it again. I'm done with this. I couldn't take it anymore. I was completely done. I didn't want to stop using, but I did want the pain to stop, right? A lot of people they're like, I want to stop using, I want to quit. No, I just wanted everything to stop. I didn't want it, I wanted to keep using, but I also wanted everything to stop. So I already drank 1 bottle of gin. I'm crying. I start DMing people on Discord, saying goodbye, saying that I appreciate everything that they've done for me. Um, everyone is panicking at that point, but there was nothing they could do about it. Like I already made up my mind. So I drink another bottle of vodka within like 5 minutes. Gin, another bottle of gin within 5 minutes, and I basically close my windows of my car. And I knew it was going to be very hot that day, so I had all of this alcohol in me. I had a couple of painkillers in me. Um, I had all this coke in me. I was dehydrated. I had no water. So I just basically passed out with my black car in the blistering sun. It was midsummer in July, hoping that I would just, die while I was passed out, right? Like dehydration or whatever the fuck I was thinking at the time. Very, very weird way to go, and I don't think it's a very nice way to go either. But at that point, I saw it as my only way out. Obviously, I didn't die, even though I drank enough to kill to kill someone for sure. I wake up, I feel like shit. I don't have any water with me, so I just end up drinking more gin. I had another bottle, so every time I woke up, take another sip, go back to sleep. I felt like absolute shit. Um, at like 3 a.m., I come home. 3 a.m. I come home, and I didn't know what was happening or what happened, or if my phone died as well. I should probably tell that. So I didn't know. I come home into my room, and I see my entire mountain of empty cocaine bags on my desk. So I was like, okay, my parents, they know. They looked through my room. They were panicking. They know. I pass out. I get woken up by my mom a couple hours later. She's sitting in my bed, on my bed, and she's like, I still remember this very vividly. I was just sitting there and being like what is wrong, man? Like what? She was just speechless. I remember waking up and being like, yeah, I'll call the doctor. And she said, yeah, no, you don't need to call the doctor right now. The police is on their way. And I was like, oh fuck, I'm getting kicked out or something, right? But basically, what happened was they panicked because it's not usual for me to just disappear like that, not show up to work and all that stuff without anyone knowing where I was. So they panicked. They thought I was gone, right? They already told my little brothers that I wasn't coming back. They were convinced because they knew there was something up. They were convinced if I disappeared for that long without letting them know anything that I would hurt myself. They knew. They knew. So they already told my little brother, like, yeah, Maddie's gone. Yeah. People call me Matti in real life, Matthias. So Maddie is gone, which was very, when I think about it now, it makes me kind of emotional. But the one thing that see, I'm tearing up again talking about it. But the one thing that I vividly remember was I came home. Oh man. I come downstairs, go to the toilet, and at the same time, my dad walks up to me. Yeah, I wasn't planning to getting emotional about this, but it's happening. So my dad walks up to me while I leave the toilet, and he starts crying. I'd never seen him cry like that. He just like starts crying like a little kid. He was so relieved of seeing me alive. I've never seen that. Like me and my dad, we have a very distant relationship, right? I know he cares about me. I care about him, but we don't show it. We don't say it. So for that to happen, like he starts hugging me, he's crying. That's why it's still making me emotional. Like it's not that I didn't, that there's still stuff there, but just the moment was so emotional, and to this day it's still making me emotional. So yeah, that happened. The cops show up. I have to tell them where I was because I was given up as missing. And from there on, everything started, right? Like, what do you do in that situation? You have two choices. Either you decide, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna, stop what I've been doing all these years, and I'm gonna fix my life, or I continue going down this path and fuck up my life even more, with the help of my parents and them pushing me really, because I still didn't want to quit. I didn't want my life to be gone. I decided to get help. The same day I went to a doctor. I told him openly about my issues. So then the process starts, right? You start calling rehab clinics and stuff. The waiting lists for those things are insane. Without my parents, I would have never made it until I got there. My mom called so many places, and there was always, either it's, oh no, he's using cocaine and alcohol, so he doesn't fit our program, or yeah, but there is a waiting list of 6 months. But I didn't have that long, right? I wanted help now, but you can't get it. Like, you just can't. If you see an addict, then you're like, just get help, dude. By the time he decides to get help, it's 6 months later that he actually gets the help. No addict can survive 6 months without using and not getting any help at all. Like, it's not possible. So that's like a big flaw in the system. It really sucks. It really does. But I ended up getting help. I got a therapist who kind of helped me get rid of it. Then I got like a psychologist who really helped me understand things better. After a couple of sessions, we realized that I have bipolar disorder and ADD, I think it's called in English. Yeah, ADD. Yeah, so those things popped up, and then, I remember feeling very relieved. This sounds weird, right? Feeling relieved that you got diagnosed with something. But up until this point in my life, I always thought there was something wrong with me, right? I was the problem. I'm the idiot. I keep forgetting stuff. I keep fucking up. But getting a diagnosis was so liberating. It's not like, it wasn't like I was going to hide behind it, right? It was more like, okay, there's something wrong and I can do something about this, right? Like, I know now what to do about it. There's people who've done this before me. I can do this as well. Whereas if it's in your head where you're like, this is my problem. I'm the problem here. I'm the idiot. I'm just a fuck up. There's nothing you can do there, right? It's just a block. So getting those diagnoses really helped me. I really turned my life around at that point. I started implementing new things. I'm still nowhere there, right? Like, I'm living with bipolar disorder, ADD, and then like always having the addiction lurking around. It's going to be a struggle for the rest of my life, probably. That's a struggle that I gladly fight, which is also why I'm making this video, because This video might be all over the place. I don't know. I've been going for like, what, 25 minutes now. But I just felt like sharing this and talking about it, and just also for my own, to process it myself. I think this is a very good way to do it. But yeah, I was getting off track again. So ADD with bipolar disorder. Got diagnosed. I got put on antidepressants to help with my down feeling because I couldn't leave the bed really. I started my school again, kind of social work, not really. It's more like educator, where now I work at a homeless shelter. I'm in my last semester, and hopefully this summer I've been applying for some jobs where I'm in the streets. I can't really describe the job, but basically I'm in the streets, just looking for youth, looking for just talking to the youth on the streets in these neighborhoods, right? Like just going out there, talking to them, seeing what they're struggling with, if I can help, how I can help. Just that's what I want to do. That's what I've been applying for. It's a very niche job. Not a lot of people do it. There isn't a lot of applications in it, but that is my dream, and that is something that I'm chasing right now. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it that I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, right now I'm getting off. So I was talking about the antidepressants. Right now I'm getting off them. So which is why I'm probably looking a little bit like shit. To be honest, I feel like shit as well. But I'm currently on the last phase of tapering off my antidepressants. So hopefully next week, I think about in a month time, I should be clear of all the withdrawal effects. Trust me, quitting antidepressants for me has been a fucking pain. Like just feeling sick, nauseous, anxiety. It's been a mess, but I'm getting through it, which is also another reason that I'd like to make this video. But yeah, I don't know what else to say right now. I don't think I'm gonna add anything to it. I just wanted to make this video to give a raw picture and show what the face of addiction looks like. Because when people see me, right, like people see me and they talk to me and they're like, oh, you know, you're a nice innocent guy and blah blah blah, you know how they talk about it. And I just wanted to show, I guess, that addiction isn't the thing that you think it is. Like, it isn't the stereotypical, the junkie sitting in a crack house, you know, without any teeth or with holes in his skin and stuff. That's not it. You know, anyone can get addicted. You don't know. You actually don't know how many people are addicted. And it can go as far as food addiction, gaming addiction. Like, there's so many different things to get addicted to. But for me, it was, substances like coke and alcohol. And I just wanted to show that, you know, there is no real face of addiction. For me, this is now the face of addiction, right? You guys are looking at it. Addiction is different for everyone. You can't really, you can label it, it's being dependent of substances, but it's so different for a lot of people. You know, some people, they use daily, day in, day out. Other people, they binge like I did for like 3-4 days. And then I was off of it for 3-4 days. So addiction is a very different thing depending on who you ask. But the consensus is the same. You know, you're dependent on something, and you're essentially, it's a symptom of an underlying problem, and you're coping with emotions or stuff that you haven't processed yet. Yeah, I hope this video, you know, maybe educated a couple of people on what addiction is, what it was for me, how I got through it. It wasn't the most ideal way, but you know, what is the most ideal way to get through addiction? And I also want to urge anyone who has any questions, even if you're not an addict or anything, if you have any questions about addiction or drugs, certain drugs that you want to know about, feel free to ask me. Right? I'm very open about the subject. I love talking about it. I think more people should talk about it. But also, if you're struggling with addiction right now, or if you know anyone, really feel free to DM me or just send me a message anywhere. I'd be happy to talk to you and just listen. I think listening is a very big part of the solution here. And listening to someone who has experienced it, you know, firsthand is always a much better thing. I've experienced myself as well. Yeah, that being said, you know, don't feel afraid to reach out to me or to anyone else if you're struggling or if you want more information about the subject. I hope this video was educational for some. And I'll see you guys in another video, hopefully soon. I'm planning to start making some more videos, doing some podcasts on the Twitch. But yeah, thanks for watching through this 30-minute rant about my life. And I hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.